Are you feeling a little lost in all the AI buzz? I mean, one minute we were talking about simple robots, and the next it's this whole alphabet soup, right? LLMs, NLP, generative AI. It's easy to feel like you're being left behind. But what if you could actually understand it all? Well, in the next few minutes, we're going to do just that. We're going to translate the jargon and give you the map you need to navigate the world of artificial intelligence. So let's start with something you might not expect. What in the world does AI have in common with your morning coffee? Well, a lot more than you'd think. Turns out, both have gone through this massive explosion in complexity in a really, really short time. Remember when you'd just walk up and order a regular coffee? Or you'd go to the gym and just, hit the treadmill? Now, you're staring down a menu of oat milk lattes, cold brews, and nitro shots. And at the gym, it's all about HIIT classes and macro training. The basic idea is the same: get some caffeine, get some exercise, but the language around it has just exploded. And that is exactly what's happened with AI. The main goal hasn't really changed. We're still trying to build intelligent systems. But that simple word, robots, has blown up into a whole new, kind of complicated vocabulary. So to really get where AI is headed, we have to start speaking its new language. Let's dive in with the basics. Okay, let's break down the absolute core concepts. You can think of these as the three pillars that hold up pretty much everything else in modern AI. If you can get your head around these terms, you're well on your way to decoding the rest of it. So first up, we have machine learning. Now, instead of a programmer sitting there writing thousands of if this then that rules, we just give the computer a mountain of data and basically say, hey, you figure out the patterns. It's all about learning from experience, kind of like how we do. And you see this in action every single day. When Netflix suggests a new show it thinks you'll love, that's not some person in a back room picking it out for you. Nope, that's a machine learning model that has analyzed everything you've watched, found patterns, and is making a pretty good guess about what you'll want to binge next. Okay, now let's zoom in a little bit on a really powerful type of machine learning: deep learning. This takes that basic idea of learning from data and just cranks it up to 11. It uses something called neural networks, which are kind of loosely modeled on the human brain. The deep part, that just means there are many, many layers in these networks, which lets them find incredibly subtle and complex patterns in just enormous amounts of data. Deep learning is the magic that lets your phone instantly recognize faces in your photos. But it's also powerful enough to learn and completely master games like Go, beating the best human players on the planet. I mean, that's a level of complexity that's way beyond simple pattern matching. So, how do all these things fit together? The best way to think about it is like a set of Russian nesting dolls. Artificial intelligence is the biggest doll. It's the big, overarching idea. Inside that, you have machine learning, which is a major way we try to achieve AI. And then inside that, you've got deep learning, which is a superpowered technique within machine learning. Our last core concept is natural language processing, or NLP for short. This is the whole part of AI that's focused on one thing: bridging the gap between our messy, nuanced human language and a computer's ability to understand it. Anytime you ask a voice assistant for the weather, or you use a tool online to translate a sentence, that's NLP hard at work. It's breaking down your words, figuring out what you actually mean, and then putting together a response that sounds, well, human. All right, so we've got the big ideas down, but what are the actual pieces that engineers and data scientists are working with every day? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the building blocks that make all this AI stuff actually happen. People use the words algorithm and model like they're the same thing all the time, but they're not. So think of it like baking a cake. The algorithm is the recipe. It's the step-by-step instructions for how to learn. The model, that's the finished cake. It's what you get after you follow that recipe using all of your ingredients, which in our case is data. And that brings us to maybe the most important ingredient of all: data. You've got to understand, data is the absolute fuel for AI. You can have the smartest algorithm in the world, but if you don't have good, clean, plentiful data, you've got nothing to train your model on. This is why you hear the term big data thrown around so much, because more data usually means a smarter model. But, and this is a huge but, there's a massive catch with data. An AI model only learns from what you show it. So if your data is biased, let's say it's historical hiring data that doesn't represent everyone fairly, the AI will learn and even amplify that bias. It's the ultimate garbage in, garbage out problem. And it's a huge challenge for anyone trying to build fair and accurate AI. So how do we make sure a model is actually learning the right things? Well, the process is a lot like studying for school. First, you have training. That's like doing your homework, just letting the model practice on the data. Then comes validation. Think of this as your midterms, where you check its performance and make some tweaks. And finally, you have testing. That's the final exam, where you unleash it on brand new data it's never seen before to see how well it really does. Okay, now that we've got the fundamentals down, we can start looking at the really cool stuff on the horizon. Let's talk about some of the most exciting innovations that are shaping the future of AI as we speak. There are three big areas you really need to know about. First, generative AI. This is the creative AI you've been hearing about constantly. It doesn't just analyze things, it actually creates brand new stuff, like writing an email for you or even designing a logo. Second is reinforcement learning. This is where an AI learns kind of like we do, through trial and error. It gets little digital rewards for making good moves, and over time it figures out the best way to do something, like a robot learning to walk. And finally, and this is so important, we have explainable AI. As these systems get more and more complex, we need to know why they're making the decisions they are. This whole field is about opening up that black box to make AI more transparent and trustworthy. This technology is moving at an incredible speed. So, with all this power and all this complexity, what's our role in all of this? How do we actually use AI wisely and stay on top of it as it keeps evolving? Well, the learning journey definitely doesn't stop here. The best way to keep up is to follow sources you trust, maybe take a course or two if you really want to go deeper, and honestly, the most important thing, experiment. Get your hands on some of these tools and try them out. But, always do it responsibly. Look, at the end of the day, AI is one of the most powerful tools humanity has ever created. The language might seem confusing at first, but the ideas behind it are something we can all grasp. And once we understand it, the only question left to answer is the most important one of all. What are we going to build with it?